Hello, okay. Today we will be discussing PSE and the difference between PSE and Sign English. Also, how to develop these at the same time. I want you to understand that what needs to happen is we have to go back in time. I want you guys to understand how this all fits into history. I want to talk about simcomming. Most hearing people don't really learn how to simcom because they assume that it means that their sign's message isn't clear. And often that's not true. Because I grew up using simcomming, that means that I'm more prone to knowing both English and signs. And that tends to be more clear. The reason that deaf teachers don't become upset if you simcom, but they will be upset if students try and do it, because that often doesn't happen well. So how did all this start? And why? Hopefully you remember back in 1907, Gallaudet and Yes, we will teach you everything you know, but you have to stay here for 10 years. Gallaudet said, got it. So he went to France. France said, sure. We'll set up a school for the deaf. And that's exactly what happened. On the boat ride back, about 6 weeks, and Clark learned everything about spoken and written English. And Gallaudet learned LSF. I don't speak French at all. But it basically means linguistically that the signs were French. I know. So when they arrived, they set up a school for the deaf. So in 1880 there was the Milan Conference, and at that point over in Europe they're discussing what to do for deaf education. America sent 5 people, including Gallaudet himself. They're involved in the discussion, and they decided they should follow Germany and make sign language illegal in all of their deaf schools. When the American people came home, that's exactly what they needed to do. So that meant that deaf people would not be able to sign. Edward Meyer said, we need to keep sign language. And the community thought the same. But Alexander Graham Bell, he invented the telephone. He thought that deaf people must not be smart because they can't read the phone. So guess what happened? By the 1910s, that's when oral education was in and sign language was out. Making all of your videos for yourself back then. And because so in 1965, that was the change point. Someone called deaf children can't read and they couldn't understand back in 1880s. They said that deaf children couldn't read as well as hearing kids. They were at a lower reading level. But in 1995, guess what? The response was that deaf children nothing can change the oral education that we have set up. So that's how I found out that oral methods were not working. Yeah, it's a little bit scary. But let's keep going. There are a lot of different ideas about what to do about this. At the same time, at that time, ASL wasn't identified as a language. Now it seems like going back to using ASL is not discussed. All of these different people were throwing in ideas, and most of them were here. For their ideas of what to do, remember, first of all, yes, deaf children were at the periphery reading level, but they never said that the reading average level for adults were at the average reading level. Back then, it was 6. So all adults it's not great, but it wasn't awful. The average person read at a 12th grade level, and the average deaf person read at a 4th grade level. It's still not perfect. I'm not saying that it is, but keep that in mind. That the average is high for deaf people. They thought, oh, we know what we're doing, we're creating a system. Definitely creating teachers. So we can use English after them, because there's a theory that said the reason deaf children weren't good at written English is because their English system was different, and ASL grammar is different than English grammar. And that's true. So no one agreed on how to set up a signed English system. There are different ideas popping up. So there's SEE1 and then something else. That's when we first started seeing I have to sign all of the words that I speak. That type of signing I just used now. That is the idea. It is the idea that if a child is not getting all of the words visually, then there is no way that they can learn in English. Okay, that's what it was. What I just did. Signed exact English, SEE2. It's a new one. That started to get initialized signs. That's where parents, mom, dad, crazy. What I mean by that, was, past tense was, will, have the initialized W-I-L-L, happy with an H, joy with a J, ecstatic with an E. But for ASL, we tend to modify words like happy with facial expressions. And you'll know like how happy that person is depending on how they signed it. For SEE, they just use a different word, just a way to set up that word. So that way, and a deaf child knew exactly what word and exactly what English word was being used. So that's where initialized signs came in. SEE2 also says that if a word is finger spelled the same, we should you can't use a sign the same. You can't use the same sign. What I mean by that is if a word is written right, the word right, which also means the opposite of your left, and then there's right, which means the opposite of wrong. R-I-T-E, right, has its own sign because it's spelled different. However, right as in correct and right as in opposite of left don't have different signs because there's only one word. So that's right as in opposite of left. So when students grow up, as teachers we have to sign you're right as in the class, as in the opposite of left, so that would get confusing. And adding to that, words like refix, which is sign before fix, has something to do with fix. S, apostrophe S, all of those English grammar things started showing up in S. That is the way that I started when I was learning a 2 sign back when I was a child. It is something that I can do fairly quickly, and sometimes you will still see some of my sign English. It tends to show up now and again. For example, I still sign really with an ly at the end. Real and an ly. Because that is one habit that I have not been able to break over the last 2 years. The problem with all of this system is that they are very complicated, as you can imagine. Because now I'm not only asking for your focus on what it is that I am trying to say to you, but I also have to focus on what words and what parts of the words that I am not using to express that message. Let me just collect myself. I want to tell you a story because 25 years later I still laugh about it. I was walking one day and I bumped into a girl that I grew up with in my college. I said, "Oh, hi." Like, hugs. And I said, "What are you majoring in?" She said, "Sorry, but..." I still don't think she said. Bug, you threw it, and then you walked. I'm sorry. I got nothing. She said, "Oh." Bug, throw apology. Wow. Okay. She really signed that. I was trying to collect myself. She wasn't kidding. That was literally her sign for her major. She was majoring to be a fighter. So there's always like visual English, sign English, SEE, finally conceptual. Okay. There's so much. The problem is that the creators of these different systems the best user of their own system 80% of the time which means that teachers they wouldn't learn the system. They assume that 50% is good. I would say that I got my deaf education degree a long ago, and I didn't take ASL 3. You think that I'll have to pass ASL 3, which means now the quality of teaching. So congratulations. You have everything you need to know to teach engineering. So it's great. So National teacher's pretty good. They have 50%, and then you go to science teacher, and they're like 20%. So it's not the same as an English teacher. And then you go to a different teacher, and they're about 40%. So you can understand how something it's really shocking. I used to deaf people around my age communicate they can, but the signing styles are all over the place. That's another reason why every ASL teacher says don't sign. Some sign parent with a P, and others you see sign with a different handshake with a 5. Yes, you would learn many different ones because there's so many different variations. And that's how you have different signs in different states, like California and Virginia. And there's also age difference. That's also how there are different signs. And you have made-up systems that came up. I still use today's My birthday is soon. I feel old. So for us, we have to match whatever shows up. Whatever shows up for our job. So if we see a sign and think, oh, I've never seen that before in my life. Finger spell that word. What is that? And they give it to you. Say, how do you know that? One rule is to never say to a deaf person, oh, that sign is wrong. Oh, they will kill you. They won't actually kill you, but hopefully they don't. That is the history of ASL to oral to sign English. And finally, in the past 10-15 years, they started moving more towards ASL. It's not fully ASL yet. In deaf schools, you do see ASL, but in hearing schools, they're still using some form of some common or PSE. Hopefully sign English. Thank you for watching today. And we'll discuss more. If you have any questions, let me know. Have fun with your PSE.